Hi there, my name is Jolie Raimondo. I put together my very first little video. It's about 8 or 9 minutes long, demonstrating how I paint pine trees. So if you want to take a look, that'd be fabulous. I hope you enjoy it. My list of materials are basically just craft paint. I have black. I have a leafy green color. I think it's actually called leaf green. I have raw sienna, and I have like a mid-tone medium yellow. These are the only colors you'll need for this little tree project. It's pretty easy to paint a tree, seems to me, but I think in the times that I've taught how to teach classes, it seems a lot more complicated than it ought to be. A lot of times people, when they imagine trees, they imagine the proverbial Christmas tree with, you know, the branches that do this. And that is not what we want to do today. What we're going to do instead is to make it look more organic and more natural. So I'm just using a flat brush. I don't know, it's so crusty and gross. I don't know the number anymore, but it wouldn't matter. It just depends on what size tree you're actually painting. But this one is probably a 1/4 inch across in width. And so my first thing I'm going to do is grab some black paint, dip a little bit of water in there, kind of loosen it up a little bit, and draw my straight line all the way up to the top. That's my tree trunk. And then as I go down, I start creating the irregular branches. And instead of, like I said, creating these sort of triangles, try to use your brush strokes to kind of create, you know, irregular tree branches so that it looks more of a natural kind of tree. You know, some pines have branches that come up, and some have branches that go down. For this particular tree, we're going to go with branches that go down. And just as you continually go down, you kind of widen your branches, creating these really irregular brush strokes to create that look. I am using my brush almost like a pencil, you know, not so much with the flat, but on the edge here to kind of make those thin, wispy paint strokes. I'm also painting upside down so you can see how incredibly talented I am. Okay, so we're going to keep this process up, going all the way down to the bottom of the tree. You can take your pine all the way to the bottom. I'm going to take it to almost the bottom since I have those goofy brush strokes down there. And that's my first step, is to use the black and fill it in. My next step is to grab some of the green, mix it a little bit with the black to get, you know, like a dark green, mix up enough of it so I have it as I go to add my highlights in the tree. I'm going to say the light is coming from this side, so if we imagine the sun shining over here, this side of the tree is going to be lighter, this side of the tree is going to be more in shadow. So I'm going to add these highlights more over to this side and leave a little bit of black on the other side. And I'm just going to use the strokes in here. Kind of blends in with the black because it's not quite dry yet, so that's quite good. Helps in the blending process and the shading process. Kind of works for you. And bring it all the way down to the tree. Now I'm going to take some of my yellow, add it to that color, a little bit of the raw sienna, and make kind of a muddied kind of green color. And I add that into my tree, focusing mainly on this side where the light is, in theory, hitting. Let the brush strokes work for you so that it looks more natural, more organic. And you can kind of see how it's kind of creating that shadow, the lighter side versus the darker side. Now I'm going to add quite a bit of yellow, a little bit more green, till I get this great chartreusey kind of green color, which is my favorite color. And I'm going to tap that in to this edge over here. Do you see how that kind of works? Kind of create that highlight and low light. You can bring some of them over into the side, just a little bit. Now I'm going to take my small brush, which is I think a 2, and I'm going to go and add in some details to my branches, some smaller, more wispy, pointy little pine needles. When I do this, I make sure my black paint is well watered down. If you have plenty of water in your paint, it makes it much easier to move it around. If it's dry, it will just catch on the board or on, you know, whatever your painting surface is, and it will make it much harder to pull the paint along. But if it has plenty of water content, this becomes a much easier thing. And it's almost like sketching, you know, it's just sort of adding these little brush strokes to make the tree have more of a needle, kind of natural look. And each time I get more black paint, I add a little bit more water so that I'm able to move that paint around. And then on the next side, I'm going to grab a more of that yellowy green color. Maybe just grab a little more yellow. Water it down well. So you can see it kind of just runs, you know. If you were to try to just take the paint with no water, it dries quickly, and then you get this sort of dried brush effect, which it's hard to get the paint to move then. But as soon as you add water to that, it becomes, you know, something to be able to move around a lot better. Okay, so I'm taking that yellow green and I'm gonna hit the edges of this pine tree on this sunny side or sun-kissed side of the tree to give it that golden highlight that looks so pretty. Then on my base of my tree, I'm gonna take this raw sienna, mix a little bit of black into it, which will make kind of a brown color, and I'm going to paint my trunk, and then grab a little bit of yellow, a little more of the, I haven't even cleaned the green out because I like it when colors are, and I just tap it when colors are mixing with each other, and I just tap a little bit of that raw sienna and yellow in there to kind of also have the sun kissing the stump or the base of the tree. Okay, there it is. There's my pine tree. Thank you for taking a look.